Good afternoon. Thanks very much for coming along this afternoon. My name's Chris Whaley of MicroStrategy. Before I introduce Jed, I just wanted to tell you about a familiar story which we're learning about throughout the event this week. Is getting out of data centers and moving to Amazon Web Services. And if we think about MicroStrategy, we're a traditional software house. We've got a big stack of software that traditionally has lived on premise. Back in about 2012, we made the decision to be able to build it so our customers could consume it, and it would be the right configuration. So we built it in our own data centers on the East Coast, West Coast, and in London, on VMware and NetApp, and all the rest of it. But after a couple of years, it became clear that our customers, they wanted to get into Sydney, they wanted to get into Singapore, into Tokyo, South America. As a software company, we didn't really want to stay in the business of buying tin and managing data centers and buying the software and so forth. There was way too much complexity. So we made the decision to get out of that business and just go fully into Amazon Web Services. So Jed is going to be talking about how Vivint Solar have used our tooling to stand up instances and so forth. And then Shreyas is going to talk about some of the tooling that we've built to enable customers to be able to spin up a very complicated software set in Amazon Web Services, fully configured, in 30 minutes. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Jed.
All right, thank you. My name is Jed Rampton. I'm with Vivint Solar. I've been with the company for a handful of years, and I manage the business intelligence team there. Well, who is Vivint Solar? Vivint Solar is a residential solar company. We provide full service solar to our residential customers, from consultation to engineering to financing, installation, servicing, and then also after they go live, we do the service and support on these systems. We went public in about 2014. We operate in about 21 states. The prior slide over here looks like, sorry, there we go. We have about 100 plus thousand customers across those 21 states. So I want to tell two stories here today. The first story is really about our journey to MicroStrategy, how we got there. And then the second story is how our experience has been deploying MicroStrategy. So it was a young company when we started, and like most startup companies, our focus was on sales. How do we get sales? How many sales do we have? Where are those sales coming from? How can we better convert our sales into our leads into sales and installed systems on the house? These are questions that our executives had, and they needed answers to run their business. Unfortunately, as a startup company, we didn't have the tools in place to do that. We just had people on the ground to do their job. And so executives, instead of going to tools to provide those answers efficiently, they were forced to go to hire people. They would hire teams of analysts to answer these questions for them. And these analysts did a great job with the tools they had. And in the early days, it worked really well because our data volumes were smaller. And these analysts, they had one tool, and that was Excel. I think this is probably a pretty familiar story with many of you guys out there. So they used Excel to extract data from source systems, to wrangle that data, and to produce reports. And like I said, in the early years, this worked out really well for them. But as the company grew and as our volume of customers grew, this didn't scale. And it became the point where Excel, some sheets that they had were taking hours to calculate. These guys would push Excel to the limits. I've never seen them do so many things in Excel as they did. So it's unfortunate for that. The other thing about it is each executive had their own team of analysts. And so truly what would happen is one team would report, hey, these are our sales numbers. Another team would report, these are our sales numbers. And instead of meetings for the executives to make decisions, they were arguing about whose numbers were correct. So not a really good world that we lived in. It really was the wild, wild west, and we needed a way to get from where we were to somewhere where we could provide reporting to our executives. that would allow them to answer the questions at the speed that they had them, and also be able to do that on a platform that was flexible enough to handle the data volume and deliver it where it needed to be on whichever platform, desktop or mobile. And so fortunately, we had a CFO. It wasn't his first rodeo, and he knew the importance of data and the value of having consistent, clean, and quality data. And so he partnered with us to come up with strategy. We needed that executive sponsorship. Without that sponsorship at that level, I don't think we could have succeeded. One, from a cultural perspective, and then two, from a financing perspective. The first thing we handled was cultural, and that was standing up this BI, or Business Intelligence Coordination Committee. This team was tasked and charged with providing consistent metrics to measure the business with, identifying which metrics we cared about, what the definitions of those metrics were, where they would be stored, and where different departments could pull those metrics from. That committee was chaired by finance, and it had members from each department. So we were all on the same page. We're playing from the same playbook. That was huge in our move from the Wild West. Beyond that, we needed a tool. Excel wasn't scaling. Obviously, we needed a place and our tool in place that could provide this data to our users in whatever format they wanted. So we went to the marketplace and we searched for many tools, but really for us, we wanted a tool that was flexible for our analysts to provide the reports and dashboards that they needed, their end users needed, in whatever platform they wanted, whether it be desktop, browser, or a mobile device. For us, MicroStrategy checked this box. It provides an easy, clean, click and drag format where our technical analysts can deliver data, slice and dice data, but it also provides a easy, seamless end user interface for people who are not so data savvy. So for us, MicroStrategy was a clear winner and a perfect fit for us. So we bought the tool. Great, but unfortunately we had no experience with the tool. As Chris mentioned earlier, it's not an easy tool to deploy. It's been around for a while and has lots of different components, and we definitely didn't have the skills in-house to do that. So we did whatever every new customer would do. We partnered with the vendor and their professional services team to help us get off the ground. So they brought in, we worked with them, and they brought in 2 consultants after we purchased the product, and we worked together to install this. Fortunately, our company made a decision early in its history not to have an on-premise data center. That was pretty pivotal for us and a big win for us. We decided early on to partner with Amazon and leverage everything Amazon to provide those data center needs. And so when they came in, it was an easy decision to deploy this on EC2 instances. And it worked really well. We sat in a room, and after about a week or so, we had a fully configured production environment, multi-node environment for our MicroStrategy. We had a development instance, all connected to our data sources and reporting data from there. Very successful engagement. But for us, as a business intelligence team, we were small. We didn't want to learn how to manage a tool like that. We saw how complex it was. And we didn't want to build our expertise in the infrastructure of MicroStrategy. We wanted to hone our skills in delivering quality business intelligence to the customer, or to our customers. And to that end, we were really excited and really thrilled when we heard that MicroStrategy had built this tool to quickly deploy MicroStrategy instances in AWS, and then after they're deployed, to manage those instances for us. And so earlier this year, we signed up for their early adopters program. And after doing that, we realized that engagement, that week-long engagement that we had, would have taken about 30 minutes to deploy. Within about 30 minutes, you can have a production-ready MicroStrategy instance ready to go. And then you add maybe a couple hours on top of that to migrate our custom reports over, connect to our data sources, and clearly within about a half a day, we would be up and running on the latest version. The tool's great. This is a screenshot of the tool. I'm going to jump into the tool here just really quickly to give you a quick demo of it. Once you spin up an instance, there's a lot of flexibility in the tool. My favorite feature, though, is a scheduling agent that allows you to manage these instances once they're up. And so I can identify peak load times for our business, and I can scale an instance up, and so it's ready for Monday morning or quarter-end reporting or what have you. And then when that load goes down, I can scale it down to a normal size. And then even I can shut them off. So you think about our development instances. I can turn those off when we're not in the office, when I know developers aren't working. So every night I can turn it off, and every morning I can have it ready to go for them, thus saving quite a bit of cost in our Amazon infrastructure. So with that, I'm going to switch over to the other computer here and show you what the tool looks like and just how easy it is to spin this tool up. There we go. Okay, so when you log into the tool, you're presented with a screen like this. They give you three options. Do you want a team, department, or enterprise? And really the differences here is the size of the system and then whether it's a multi-node. I'm just going to go ahead and pick a development instance. And then over here, you give it a name. They give you the option to deploy different versions up there. And so as new versions are released, you can choose the latest version and quickly test it out, throw it away if you don't like it, or configure it for a production instance. You can decide the sizing of the instance, whether you want a developer admin box to go with it, and then it's as simple as clicking the box to create the instance, and then it goes out there and it goes to town. That's how easy it is. And in about 30 minutes, you'll get an email with a link to log into your new environment. Very seamless. So with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Shreyas, who's going to get down to the nitty-gritty and tell you exactly how this tool works and the cool things behind the scenes.
Thank you, Jed. So let me start off with the background for MicroStrategy on AWS. So when we built this tool, our main goal for the tool was two things: keep it simple and secure. One of the key other techniques that we used was to make it seamless across the platform and use Amazon Web Services. It provides, we also, when we started building the tool, we wanted our MicroStrategy platform to completely be ready out of the box and ready to be used, as Jed mentioned, with no customer interaction. We wanted customers to just go on a URL, log in. As soon as you log in, you run your reports, and you're all set. For these, we used all Amazon native services for administration and deployment. So it's a two-step process. In the first step, we ask you to configure your Amazon account. We ask the customers to bring your own account so you can deploy MicroStrategy platform completely in your account. So once you log into the Cloud Environment Manager, and as Jed mentioned, you click on our cloud offering, Team, Department, Enterprise. So Team is nothing but low-cost, all-in-one instance. In this, the application, the data layer, everything is on one machine. This can be used for testing any new services, can also be used to test a new feature that we have deployed. Department is similar to Team, and the only difference is the data layer is separate, and we use RDS for it, which will provide you extra data tier scalability and maintenance. And the last offering is our enterprise offering. In enterprise, it's for your production workloads. It's two application servers, metadata, which is, again, multi-AZ. This provides you greater scalability and fault tolerance in case of any disasters. So as Jed already showed you this, you come here, you enter your environment name, you select the operating system, the version of MicroStrategy, the region that you want to deploy into, and the size of the instance. We go from 2 CPUs, 16 gigs, to all the way to the X1 Amazon instances. So if you want to deploy anything in 1 terabyte, we support that. Now here is where you enter your Amazon account. And what you are doing here is you are clicking, entering your Amazon account and hitting configuration. Once you hit configuration, there will be a pop-up saying that you will be redirected to your Amazon login page. You log in with your IAM user or your root credentials, but IAM if you have it, and you will be redirected to the CloudFormation page. So CloudFormation, as all you know, is stacks which will deploy all the Amazon resources in your account. So for deploying the MicroStrategy platform, we do require some dependencies. So we are creating role in your account, some lambdas that are being downloaded, step functions are being created. So this CloudFormation will take care of all of that. So at this step, you click next, and these are, so if you, based on your selection, we allow to deploy in your own VPC or in your existing VPC. So at this point, we are leveraging all the resources that you already have in case you already have a VPC which you want to deploy in. We deploy the IAM role, which is required by the tool to talk to your Amazon account. The lambdas, which we are using for configuring the MicroStrategy platform. And we also create an SNS and SQS queues. So the SNS and SQS queues are talking to the console at every stage at the time of deployment. Once the stack is complete, you'll see something like this, that the stack that you have created is completed. Here you see all the dependencies that are required by MicroStrategy have been deployed. And once you do that, then you come back and click validate again. Validation is checking the stage that we make sure that the role is ready and the AMIs are shared with your account, and we are all set. So once the validation is successful, you click on create environment. After you create the environment, this is our step 2. Step 2 is actually deploying the MicroStrategy platform in your account. For the deployment, we use all the Amazon services. One of the key services that we use for deployments is step functions. They provide us a way to orchestrate all the lambdas that have already been deployed in your account. Based on the inputs to the step functions that are made to execute a particular set of lambda, and for example, right now you're trying to create an environment. So what it will do is, based on all your inputs to deploy in your VPC or existing VPC, the subnets, the size of the instance, the region, and based on all of that, it will deploy a CloudFormation template. In the CloudFormation template, we deploy a load balancer, an EC2 instance, IDS, if you have selected department or enterprise, a developer instance, and all of that is being done on the back end. And for configuring, after the infrastructure is deployed, we use another Amazon service called as Code Deploy. Code Deploy is, at this point, configuring the MicroStrategy application. It's configuring the application server, some of the MicroStrategy requirements for BI, our security platform, Azure. And once all of this is complete, you should get an email with your login information. And at every step of the deployment, all the information is being set to the console, and you get updates regarding where your deployment status is using SNS and SQS. So once the stack is complete, this is the output of the CloudFormation. And here you see the platform instance is deployed, IDS endpoint, the port which IDS uses, the DNS that has been created, the host name, and developer ELB based on all your requirements. So how do we do this? Right? As you saw from the demo, at any point we do not ask you to enter any access keys, secret keys, or any username or password. So we use roles for deploying, roles along with trust relationship. So when we are configuring your account, we create a role and we provide trust relationships with VPC which is hosted by MicroStrategy. So at any point, you can audit using CloudTrail and CloudWatch. You can see all the updates that have been done. Once the environment is deployed, you can, as simple as remove the role completely, and by this point, MicroStrategy has no access to your account, and the MicroStrategy platform will function as it. There is no, the platform, there is nothing that we could do, or it's completely on you. So as you see here, it's completely in your account, and you have full access and control over this environment. So why AWS? Now, as all of you know, Amazon S3 services like S3, EC2 RDS, 11.9s, EC2 99.95. It also includes native backup tools for snapshots of EC2 instances. RDS provides you periodic backups. You get CloudTrail and CloudWatch for logging. For your VPC logs, and you can access the API logs. And you can also interact with the SDKs and APIs. There are Bash, PowerShell, Python, Ruby, Node.js, .NET, and PHP. So this was a small preview of how we deploy in Amazon. If you need a detailed session, we have a demo session on Thursday, and we are actually going to do an actual deployment, and we are going to show you the MicroStrategy platform, how it functions by creating some reports and dossiers. So this was me. I pass on to Chris for the use cases and values for MicroStrategy and AWS.
Thanks, Shreyas. So we're going to keep this probably to about 10 or 15 minutes with some of the use cases. But if there is any, then we can take any questions or have a real deep dive into kind of like what we've done and and why. As I said at the beginning, one of the big problems with a lot of software is it can be difficult to deploy. And when you think about software running on-prem, especially one which has got to be made available to employees all across the world and on various devices, you got to think about your certificates, you got to think about your web URLs, your DNS, your mobile URLs, your configurations, and so forth. So, back in the day when you just go next, finish, right? You haven't finished, you've just started, and it could take you a week or so to really get to where you need to get to. You can do this now with MicroStrategy in about 30 minutes. So very easy to try new versions, and very easy for developers to be able to just spin up versions to mess around with, spin up our new releases with some of our new tool sets. And again, what I said earlier about being able to put it pretty much anywhere in the world, listed on there is everywhere where we can deploy today. And the reason why it's not everywhere is because there's some of the functions that Shreyas' team needs, such as code deploy, and for the enterprise version we need EFS and so forth. So everywhere where all the services are available, we can deploy. One thing which I've come across so many times is, you head into a project, and even before you can really get, roll up your sleeves and get working on there, you could just spin cycles of figuring out who is going to be doing what, who do you need to work with in your organizations, who the guy in IT is that you got to go and buy him a cup of coffee, right, so we can build some VMware images for you to start developing. That's one part of it, but kind of like all of those negotiations and approvals and so forth. So what we tried to do, and what we've really succeeded doing with MicroStrategy Cloud, is getting rid of a lot of the messing around and a lot of those delays to be able to show some value. The majority of people who have been setting up MicroStrategy using this tooling are not traditional IT folks, but more of your business folks, the guys who really want to do the analysis and make the decisions rather than relying on, on an IT organization. I don't think the IT organization should be bypassed completely. There's certainly value in that, especially when you're talking around, connectivity to data sources and so forth. But the speed at which you can get from nothing to something which you can get in front of the stakeholders and, show some value from the data you've got, is drastically reduced. As Jed said, they could get to that point, within, half a day. Another thing about, MicroStrategy and any BI tool, the tool's no good if you don't have your data. Running on Amazon Web Services, it makes it a lot easier to be able to get to your data sources. MicroStrategy can sit on pretty much any database platform on Earth, and whether or not it be in Google Cloud or Azure, or Redshift, EMR, and Snowflake, and and all the rest of the stuff that sits on Amazon, it still quite happily connect back to your on-prem, to your Teradata's, your Netezza's, your Oracle's, and so forth. So once the environment has been built and the environment has been really kind of like proved out, you want to go to the next steps then of connecting to some data sources. Then Amazon makes it very straightforward. A lot of our enterprise customers rely on direct connects. A lot just really want to do VPC peering or just a VPN tunnel coming back to their data sources. And within MicroStrategy, we make it very easy to be able to set up those connections back to your data sources, and then either allow for ad hoc queries against the data warehouses or pull sets of data and pull it back into memory, so you can have very, very fast response times. So, one thing, which we keep going on about really is this fast time to value, right? And that's the whole reason why we built this tooling. We deploy about 10,000 environments a month. And that's not for 10,000 customers, but that's for partners who are doing education classes, MicroStrategy who are doing education classes across the world, sales engineers building POC environments, and customer environments. So, there's certainly the scale there to be able to, spin up instances just in time, run your education class, close it down, and an environment is probably cost you about $7, right, to be able to do your course for the day, which is like a Starbucks and something, right? The API services, I better let Shreyas talk about that, right? If there's anything you want to talk about there.
Yeah. So one thing is with APIs, whatever we build through the console, everything is available using APIs. So you can build your custom tools on top of the MicroStrategy platform. To start, stop instances will provide APIs. So if, like as Jed was saying, if your developers, they are going home early on Friday, coming back on Monday, as it's Amazon, you're charged for the number of per usage instances. You can spin up, spin down. If you have test instances for beta, you have to create to test a feature, you can all script it or create another layer on top of these APIs. So all of these APIs through the console, they're all available to use.
We've certainly talked about this. Jed certainly talked about this. One of the things that I really like about the tool is when I talk to some of our customers, who have got very active, big development cycles. They may have 20 developers coming in, and starting on, Monday morning for, to build a project. Well, when they come in on Monday morning, you can just, you can't just kick off one instance. You can kick off 20 if you want. You can kick off 10, you can kick off 50, all at the same time, and get environments stood up for development, straight away. There's, there's no waiting anymore with, developers sat in cubes waiting to actually start work. You don't have to rely on anybody except for the person who can, who's logged into our console to press a button. some of our enterprise customers can actually see the value in our tool solely from using it in development cycles. One customer I was talking to not so long ago, they put a figure on just the ability to be able to provide environments for developers and then tear down environments at like $300,000 a year. And that's time which would have gone then against either folks in IT organizations, the network teams, the database teams to spin up databases to house our metadata. So, you know, in Jed's world, he's running production workloads. Some of our customers are purely just using this for their development and their test landscapes. And then, you know, we'd like to invite you all just to start a 30-day free trial. You can, you know, go sign up, click the button, and, you know, you can get off to the races. Certainly, Shreyas's team provide some support around this. So if there are any questions, if you know, if you want to connect to a different data source but not really quite sure what you want to do, if you're very savvy around AWS, then you're going to instinctively know what to do. But you know, if there are any questions, then there's feedback on the site and so forth, and you can just get in touch with the support straight away. And with that, I'd just like to ask if there's any questions or you know, anything specific around MicroStrategy or anything specific around the AWS tooling that we've built. What's that?
Can you control the upgrade on, say, like a production instance of MicroStrategy on AWS?
Yeah. Can we jump back to this, Shreyas? Oh, what do we do? Press number 6?
Yeah,
So once Shreyas gets it up on screen, we do offer the ability to be able, we'll just flash an upgrade badge, right? If an upgrade is available, it'll just automatically get highlighted in there. Oh, there you go. And there's one there, right? So this one, I haven't got my glasses on.
I can do
right
it.
there.
So as of now, MicroStrategy is on 2 releases. One is a platform release and a feature release. Through this console, we are supporting platform releases. So if you're savvy with MicroStrategy, your versioning goes from the 10.4 is our platform release, and 10.9, 10.10s are our feature releases. So we support upgrades starting from 10.4.4 to 10.4.5 and 10.4.3 to 10.4.5. So it's a simple process. You click on this, click upgrade. I don't want to upgrade somebody's environment, but click on upgrade. It does the validation. Once the validation passes, you click upgrade, and you're all set. In this stage, we make sure that we are backing up your environment before we upgrade. It's not a parallel upgrade, it's an in-place upgrade. So we do backup, we create snapshots of your machine, we create a backup of your environment. We just released this about a couple of months ago. Soon we are adding functionalities to copy your plugins, images, framework, and all of those things are going to be added. As of now, we do create backups, and we expect the customers to back up all their custom stuff.
So in terms of, you know, in a previous life, you know, doing MicroStrategy upgrades, it can take a long time, right? There's a lot of steps that you need to do. It's just fantastic that Shreyas's team has done the hard work, right, and coded kind of like all of those steps. The provisioning portal for us is what is it, 6 months old? Yeah. Release?
Released in June, 30th May, 1st of June.
So, you know, it's about 6 months old. We've added a lot more functionality. I don't know who this environment is, but this is some of the things that Jed was showing where you can start, stop instances, you can restart. there's a continuous development cycle around this, where you're going to be able to choose components to be able to, you might want to stop Tomcat, right? You might want to restart it, and various components that you've got. Again, I can just look up here. But there's quite a few actions you can take straight out of the box. A lot more stuff in the works. Like Jed was saying, you want to resize on a Sunday night, ready for Monday morning, right? You can resize to a big node. You may have a lot in cubes. You may not need that then on a Tuesday morning or a Wednesday morning. So a lot of good functionality for you to be able to manage your cost and to be able to manage the real estate within MicroStrategy.
And all of this is supported. We use CloudFormation for most of the things. So in case you're done testing, you can click here and terminate the environment, and all the footprint of that environment is gone. So as I said again, you pay for what you use at Amazon, you use it, and then terminate it.
Yes, sir.
Question on that behind the value. What data format or what data shape does MicroStrategy expect? Is there a data prep tool that has to happen before it? You just access raw data through processes within MicroStrategy itself?
That could probably be a good question for you, Jed. But before Jed, certainly you can connect to pretty much any data source, right? And you can start going against the raw data. MicroStrategy, very different to other BI tools in as much as we have this layer called the metadata, where we allow you to build a schema. So you end up really with that one version of the truth. Revenue is revenue, cost is cost, year is year. I don't know if that's something you could talk about, Jed?
Yeah, sure. I think the answer is yes. You can do no data prep, and yes, you can do as much data prep as you want. It's a fully flexible environment. You can connect to, hundreds of data sources, or just simply upload a CSV file. So this is what we've talked about here today is deploying an enterprise version of this, but they also have a desktop version that has a lot of those same features that you can go download for free and run on your own desktop to do visualizations on CSV files or Excel sheets or wherever your data is. It's pretty flexible. There's a data wrangling tool in there that allows you to do some data prep inside the tool, whether you're doing the desktop version or you're using this fully deployed environment as well.
So Jed said, there is a desktop version. If you haven't played with that before, please go download it. I'm just pulling it up here. This one you can connect to many data sources. You can connect to Salesforce. You can connect to, pretty much anything out of the box. So it's a standalone desktop tool for you to be able to model data and so forth. This is, this is the tool. You can also connect to an intelligence server, to a MicroStrategy intelligence server running in Amazon or running in your own data centers, and you can publish content from the MicroStrategy desktop or pull content down in the form of an MSTR file. I'm going through some wizards here, but if I just look, I want to add some data. These are some of the connectors which are there just out of the box for you to just go off and connect the data, without any formal preparation. Is there any other questions? Or is there anything you'd like to see from MicroStrategy? Yes, sir. It is. You can build it yourself, and go through the cycles of using your own AMIs. Shreyas, is there anything in the works in terms of AMIs?
Yeah. So as of now, as Chris was mentioned, you can use your own AMIs. The CloudFormation is available, and you can plug in your own CloudFormation. But to completely use our tool, we provide AMIs for you, which are pre-baked and pre-compiled. The reasons being we need, Amazon has 4 or 5 agents for CloudWatch, Code Deploy, SSM, upgrades uses SSM agent. So those are all present, and our tool knows where to look at it. The roles are assigned to the agent. We use Code Deploy, as I said, heavily. So that's why that is, as our phase one was to use our AMIs, but as Chris was mentioning, it's a new tool, a new offering. So we are learning a lot of lessons as we are going through a number of iterations, and a lot of stuff we are trying to containerize small things into separately, so that at one stage, I'm sure that you will be able to provide just your own AMIs, and we'll build on top of that AMI.
Just a follow-up question on that. How often do you patch that AMI?
Right now, we are doing, as soon as Red Hat or Amazon releases the new AMI, in Marketplace. So we take the AMI from Marketplace, we add our dependencies, install application, and make it available. As soon as they make a new AMI available, within 3 days to 7, we have the new AMI available. At that point, you don't even need to do anything, because we know who you are. So next time when you come and deploy a MicroStrategy environment, we will automatically, so once you click on the version, the AMI will be shared with your account. We have automation set up on the back end, so you'll get the latest AMI at that point.
Yes, sir.
What's the back-end storage mechanism for like the metadata layer and all that? Sharing definition?
Yeah, so that'll be on RDS, the MySQL on RDS. In the enterprise deployments, we use the multi-AZ. Just like the automation will build, 2 intelligence service in separate availability zones.
Some of the new things we are adding in near future is we are adding support to Amazon Linux. Right now, we are supporting Red Hat Linux, so we'll add Amazon Linux. And another most sought out feature that we know right now is we'll be able to take your metadata caches cubes from your on-prem, and you'll upload it to the AWS console, and you spin up a new environment, and whatever your on-prem environment will be fully configured to be used in AWS. So that's one of the couple of new features that we are coming up now. No. So because so the question was, do we use KMS or not? So because we use, we are deploying it in your Amazon account, after a certain point, we do not want to enforce a lot of things on the customer, because during the EA program, we found out that every customer has different requirements. We cannot build a solution, a standard solution which caters. So that's when we thought, okay, deploy it in the customer account, and then you take care of encrypting and all that. And as you know, in Amazon, it's just one click, you go to the console, and then you can encrypt S3 data in S3 or KMS and everything at rest right away.
And then again, at the MicroStrategy layer, you've got options within MicroStrategy to be able to encrypt your caches. So any data that you're bringing in from on-prem, you can encrypt that within the application. Okay, do we have any other questions? Well, thank you very much for coming along today. Please, if anybody wants to hang back and have a conversation with us, or we've got one of the guys who builds the application set up in the corner there. Be happy to take any questions or delve a little bit deeper. Of course, yeah. We've got where are we? 107.
Booth 120.
Booth 120.
Yeah.
Booth 120.
And then there is a demo session on Thursday. It's, I think, at 2:55. It's in the Kumo Theater. It's right in the expo hall.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.